moving towards the drug-induced gingival enlargement. So let's start it. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So basically, some drugs actually affect the gingiva and cause the enlargement of the gingiva. We have three groups that include anticoagulants, immunosuppressants, calcium channel blockers. They actually affect the speech, mastication, tooth eruption, aesthetics. Basically, this is basically the gingival enlargement with what you can see here. Okay. Now, what are the prosthetics? Basically, there can be a variation in interpatient, means between two patients, or intra-patient pattern, means variation in the same patient. Okay, means okay. Then prediclation is more for interior gingiva. It is mostly present in the interior gingiva. It is highly present in children, and basically when patient takes it, most important, the feature appears within 3 months. Very important point. The gingival contour, there is actually modification in the gingival contour and the size. Change in the gingival contour that actually cause the modification in the gingival size. The enlargement observed in the interdental papilla, which I have shown you. Then the color changes. There is pus formation. There is bleeding. Very important point. Up till what you have read, just randomly actually. So there was change in the gingival size that within the 3 months occur actually. The interdental papilla. Then the color was changed, exudate was there, bleeding was there, and genetic factor can also be one of them. Found in gingiva with or without bone loss. Might be or with bone or bone loss, but it is not associated with attachment loss. Pronounced inflammatory response of gingiva in relation to the plaque present, and there has a very good inflammatory response of the gingiva when the plaque is present. Reduction in the dental plaque can limit the severity. Phenytoin, cyclosporins, calcium channel blockers. The plasma concentration to induce the lesion have not been determined. There may be a plasma or not. This is phenytoin enlargement in a 5-year-old, covering the most of the clinical crowns of the teeth. Look at, you can see it seems like this is edentulous, but this is not edentulous. Definitely combined gingival enlargement from the inflammatory involvement of the phenytoin. This is also phenytoin, and this is also phenytoin. Look at how it's doctors. This basically does not occur in edentulous. Occurs in the area in which the teeth is present, and the enlargement disappears where the teeth are extracted. Hyperplasia of mucosa in edentulous patient have been reported, but it is very unreal. It is not so much common. Fibroblast in non-inflamed gingiva, fibroblast is less. We all know, and basically it do not respond to a circulatory phenytoin, whereas fibroblasts within the inflamed tissue are in an active state and result in the inflammatory inflammatory mediators and the endogenous growth factors that are present. So if the tissue is become inflamed, the fibroblasts are more and they release more inflammatory products. The enlargement is chronic and slowly increasing in size. Surgically removed, it can reoccur. Spontaneous disappearance occur within a few months after discontinue of the drug. Histology, histopath is basically hypoplasia and acanthosis, and connective tissue shows dense collagen fibers, and number of fibroblasts increase, and new blood vessels. Inflammatory infiltrate is present at the bottom of sulcus or pocket in cases of inflammatory component. Pathophysiology, we have will study about anticoagulants, in which phenytoin basically stimulate the proliferation of the fibroblasts like cells and epithelium. Fibroblasts show increased synthesis of the ground substance basically, and this induce in the basically this actually decrease in the collagen degradation as a result of production of inactive fibroblast collagenase. So basically they inactivate the collagenase. They will not able to break down the collagen. Effect on specifically genetically predetermined subpopulation of fibroblasts, inactivation of collagenase, and plaque-induced inflammation. Now, immunosuppressants, in which cyclosporins we mostly read, and their severity and reversibility basically inhibit the helper T cells. They actually stop the helper T cells and play basically, but reversibly inhibit the helper T cells, which play a role in cellular and humoral immune response. It plays a role in cell-mediated immune response. Dosage when greater than 500 milligram per day has been reported to induce a gingival overgrowth. Principal metabolite of cyclosporine in conjunction with parent compound stimulates the fibroblast proliferation, increase in cell number, reduction in collagen breakdown of connective tissue, excessive extracellular matrix accumulation in cyclosporine means there is increased number of cells, decrease the breakdown of collagen basically, and excessive matrix which is secreted by none of them the fibroblast, and that is actually accumulation. So basically in cyclosporine there is gingival enlargement occur. Calcium channel blockers basically directly influence the connective tissue by stimulating an increase in gingival fibroblasts as well as actually increase the connective tissue matrix. In this whole process they affect two things, fibroblast and connective tissue matrix. Okay, this is idiopathic gingival enlargement. Basically we have a rare condition of undetermined cause, and it has been designated by such terms like gingivomatosis, elephantiasis, idiopathic fibromatosis, and hereditary gingival hyperplasia we have. And then we have also congenital familiar fibromatosis. Okay, I mean there's hereditary gingival enlargement, then of course congenital enlargement affects the attached gingiva and the marginal interdental. It is pink, firm, almost leathery in consistency, and has a crustic, minty, beveled surface. Very important point. Teeth is almost completely covered. Enlargement projects into the orology. The cause is unknown. Heredity based or genetic may involve, but has not well understand.